Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you in part by Mays Sandwich Shop, serving delicious hometown favorites to the West Lawn community since 1947. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, bringing you the latest news and commentary on baseball.
The 0-2 pitch, swing and a miss, struck him out! The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball!
Hockey.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Flyers are going to win the Stanley Cup! The Flyers win the Stanley Cup!
College football.
The Big Ten championship lies on a measurement.
Did he get it? No! He didn't get it! Penn State holds!
They brought back the fun, they brought back the excitement, and now they've brought back a Big Ten championship. The Penn State Nittany Lions are Big Ten champions.
And the NFL.
He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth! What a comeback!
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Well, I really hope, for your sake, that we're not listening to the announcers, Chris Collinsworth, say, and the Patriots have won the Super Bowl 2 weeks from now on our next show. Because that is would be disappointing on many levels, but for you it would just be another form of heartbreak.
Yeah, it'll be a good heart punch, and hopefully we can avoid that altogether. And we have some other great ones on there, like the Penn State stopping them on 4th and 1.
Yeah.
Like, that was incredible. Hopefully we can add to that, and Corey Clement will come out on the right side of this one too.
So here we are back again. We weren't able to cover the conference championship games last week, but with the results, at least of the late game, pretty happy to be here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My gosh, I'm so excited. I was explaining this to you before the show. I'm excited / building up my walls. Justifying to myself why it's not going to happen and all that stuff. Building up all those insecurities that already exist in every Philadelphia fan's mind.
So we were pretty disappointed after the early game, and we'll get into that shortly. We're going to talk about the conference championship games briefly before we get into our preview, and then we have actually a little high school football at the end. Some big things going on with Berks, LL, Wilson, District 3, 6A state playoffs, so we want to touch on that. But first, we got to talk Super Bowl. Super Bowl 52 is a week from now. A week from now will probably be halftime, so you can see that Justin's got his 52 underdog shirt on. I dug my Eagles hat out, which I don't get to wear.
I'll be
often
honest,
because
I didn't even know you had an Eagles hat. Actually, that's not true. I think you told me, but
I
don't think I've ever seen it.
I told you last week during the Eagles-Vikings game as we were texting, and I said looking good. I was like, I do like my Vikings hat better though, and you were like, shut up. But here we are. Super Bowl 52, less than a week away, and it's a rematch of what was it, 13 years ago?
Yeah.
Super Bowl following the 2004 season, end of January, early February 2005.
Yep.
Eagles, Patriots, and the Patriots ended up winning that one, which would be I believe it was their third Super Bowl win in 4 years.
Yeah.
They had beaten the Rams for the first one, beat the Panthers for the second one, and the Eagles for the third one. And for a while, though, that had been the last of them. They had been to 2 more, but had lost, and then they finally broke through against the Seahawks a few years ago, and then obviously coming back in dramatic fashion against the Falcons last year, the first Super Bowl to go to overtime. But here we are again with the New England Patriots, 10th Super Bowl trip for Brady and Belichick. And how did they get here? Well, let's take a look at the AFC Conference Championship game from last Sunday. So we're not going to watch this whole thing, so we'll let the highlights play as we discuss it. Yeah. But we were feeling pretty good for most of the game. I'd say 3/4 of the game.
Yeah.
Fans.
Well,
Jaguars fans and anti-Patriot
I shouldn't.
people.
Yeah, I don't know that we were feeling really good in the second half, but there was a sense of hope, at least in that part. But then there started to be some key things, and you just could. I don't know. It's easy to say this afterwards, but no, we were literally saying this during too. We've seen this movie. We've seen this before. They had a chance to put them away, and they did not do it. And if that happens against the Patriots, you're in trouble.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, it was a bit of a surprise how much the Jaguars had got ahead of them on a couple of occasions. They were up, I believe, 14-3, 17-10, 20-10. But when, the going got tough, we saw, like you said, we've seen this movie a lot before. We've seen it, I think, is it 8 times in the playoffs that Brady
crazy, yeah,
has directed a fourth quarter comeback victory. And this is, other than the Super Bowl, other than doing it in the Super Bowl, this is the next biggest stage, getting to the Super Bowl, and they were able to do it again. I know some people had some issues for things throughout the game. I believe was it Miles Jack's fumble recovery that they thought shouldn't have been whistled. He would have had a touchdown.
I thought he was
people
down.
Complained about. I didn't see it.
Yeah,
so
I thought he was down.
To see it here, but people complained about the Patriots only getting called for one penalty.
Yeah,
I'm not really worried about that stuff anymore because it's over. What is the point of worrying about that now? If you're Jaguars fans, I understand if you're salty, if you really think that there's some kind of issue there with the refereeing. We're not going to get into the absurdity that the NFL is fixed. As I went off
because we know it is.
I went off on a tirade on our friends' Facebook chat because someone posted some asinine video about the NFL and being fixed. And look, and I said this in the chat. Right now I'm a Patriots hater, and I don't want to see the Patriots win. But the honest to God, people thinking the NFL is rigged is
clearly
ludicrous.
Roger Goodell has it. He has it set up so that he can make it look like he hates the Patriots, but he really loves them.
Well, he's doing a great job.
I'm kidding. Obviously, I know. You get those disparities in calls in any one particular game. Somebody looked at it over the course of the season. I think the Patriots were called for 2 more penalties than their opponents. So that's pretty darn even, which is funny because that's what everybody kind of says when you see a game like that. They're like, yeah, one game you might see discrepancies, but over the course of a season, generally it's going to play itself out, right? And that's pretty much what it has done. So,
what happened, right?
So a couple key things here. So it got to 14-3, and the Jaguars. We were kind of talking here, but I don't know if we saw it. No, I don't. I think it's coming up here, but they have a chance to maybe put some points on the board before half, and then they take a they take a delay a game out of a timeout, and it cost them 5 yards, and they end up punting, I think, instead of being able to maybe kick a field goal or something like that. And so because of that, they give the Patriots the ball. Patriots go score, and then Jaguars get the ball. They have timeouts and don't the Jaguars have timeouts and they don't with 55 seconds left, and they don't do anything. Yeah, there it was. Delay a game out of a timeout. And so instead of picking up the first down, they're back at midfield and they don't get it here. Patriots score before half. Then they get the ball and Blake Bortles with 55 seconds and timeouts, and they down it and just take it into half, which, when we talk about the Eagles, is the exact opposite of what the Eagles did before halftime. And somebody said that is all that you can't put that on Bortles directly. That's all on coaching staff saying we don't trust our quarterback. We're going to just get to half, and you can't play that way against the Patriots at all.
I'm going to jump ahead here.
Well, that play is the play that everybody's like, it's dirty. I don't know what you want Barry Church to do in that play. If he hits him low, the Patriots fans are screaming that he hit him low, and that's dirty play. I don't know, but
now we get to see Danny Amendola come to life. Patriots, I've jumped ahead here to the fourth quarter.
I love how people are like, oh, it's a revenge game for Danny Amendola because he got cut by the Eagles. First of all, Danny Amendola was hurt almost the entire time he was with the Eagles.
I didn't even know Danny Amendola played
couldn't
for the
and
Eagles.
couldn't produce. Yeah, so
he was known with the Rams, right? That's where he broke out. He took over for Kevin Curtis, right?
Yeah,
who had gone to the Eagles and
I think
got
he
hurt
came,
and never
right.
could play again.
Right.
He was always a guy I thought. It's like Wes Welker, Kevin Curtis, Danny Amendola, like the same guy.
Yeah.
So we see Jacksonville being a little bit aggressive here, up 3, give the ball back to New England with 6 minutes to play, and New England's just going to work their way down the field. It wasn't a great second half or fourth quarter for the Jaguars defense.
I love how the guy...
If he wouldn't have put his arm on him,
right,
but
right.
he also probably would have caught the ball then. So,
right.
Either way. But, so, here we go. Patriots... 4th and 10.
Yep.
4th and 10.
So they got him. They got the ball, and then they go 3 and out here, I believe. Yep.
Just oh, there's your boy. There's another Eagle for you, Eric Rowe. Didn't do anything in Philadelphia. Now one of the Patriots contributors. But you get pinned in your own end zone. You punt it. It gets returned all the way to the 30 with 5 minutes to go.
When you're
in the
up
game.
3 with Tom Brady.
Awful
Right,
field position swing. And you knew Brady's going to hurt you, and he does it
That's
quickly.
an amazing catch. That's just a great throw and catch. Not much you can do about that one.
And, I think right here you're going to see them pick up the first down, and now it's 1st and goal with under 4 minutes to play. And just a couple plays later is going to be the dagger. Basically the game ender. Another insane catch by Amendola. So 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, 2 touchdowns in the final 9 minutes for Amendola. And that'd be all she wrote there at the final score.
So what he should have done is grabbed that back leg and just thrown him out. And he can't get down. But
so, we'll let this play out. It's unfortunate for the Jaguars because obviously with Chad being there, plus Leslie being there, them not being a franchise that's never made the Super Bowl, going against a team that's been there at this point.
And they're playing the Patriots.
Right, and they're playing New England. So I think a lot of people wanted to see the Jaguars win this game. And when they were up, 11 at one point, 10 at another point, a lot of people thought, are they going to do this? And, they're just weren't able to get it done.
That throws on the money. That's a touchdown.
I know.
I'm glad I didn't see this part of the game.
Right. Well, they were in Patriots territory with under 2 minutes to go. Now they got it deep, 4th and 14 here, and kind of a last-ditch effort.
Yeah.
But
now that looked like interference a couple times on the other side. That exact play right there, but he left it short. The throw's short, so you're not going to get the call.
And in the end, and this is the point where people say if the Jaguars had a more competent quarterback or a better quarterback, that they could have easily won this game. That's a lot of what. That was a great.
That was great
play.
defensive. I thought he pulled himself with his right arm, but the opposite angle, or left arm. You see his left arm was just down. That was a great defensive play.
Defensive play. So, hey, the Boyertown grad Devlin gonna be
getting it done.
Trying to get his 3rd Super Bowl because I believe he was on the team when they won a couple years ago, and then obviously got another one last year. Although he may have been on IR last year, so he'll get to play in this one. Like we said, Brady and Belichick going to their 10th Super Bowl,
which is more than most teams.
Right? Yeah, they've. I've seen that stat where you can put them. I think second. I think they're second most. If you would franchise, Brady and Belichick have been to more Super Bowls than most franchises have been to. So, but yeah, New England representing the AFC once again. So let's talk your Eagles now. Yeah, Vikings, Eagles in Philadelphia, Minnesota trying to be the first team to make it back to their home stadium to play the Super Bowl. It hadn't happened the first 51 times.
Also, first dome team playing outside in a conference championship trying to win the conference championship outside. So, I didn't think that was really going to matter because this Minnesota Vikings team doesn't seem like they are a dome team. Yeah, and the way their defense was and all of that, I like, and I've said this to you, like with the us against the world mentality can get kind of old, especially in professional sports. It's not really how it works. But, I just love the little things that the Eagles have gotten onto. And I said it's a lot more fun when it's your team that's getting to see the benefits of that us against the world mentality. Just how the NFL just put out the promotion, before the game saying, who, win tickets to the Super Bowl, and it was just the Patriots and the Vikings on there. There was no Eagles on there. Somebody actually posted. Now, it's in Minnesota, and there's all kinds of, stories about that this week, too. But there's a couple stores at the Mall of America where the Radio Row will be this week, where there's Super Bowl gear and Patriots gear, but no Eagles gear. And people are like, oh, they're turning it into the look. No one thought we'd be here kind of thing. See, good.
This pettiness to me reflects if the game was close, or if they were mad, the outcome, it was a bad call.
Right.
I don't get, they got housed and there was no.
Right. Well, that's there's all this talk all these Uber drivers and everything are going to take people to the wrong place. And somebody sent me the article and I said, well, if they execute this plan as well as their team executed the game plan, Eagles fans have nothing to worry about. So it started out, a little sketchy. Vikings got it, and Case Keenum dissected them right apart, and they go right down the field and score a touchdown. And then, Foles throws deep, and Torrey Smith should have caught it.
Yeah, that should have been caught.
Now, he makes up for it with a ridiculous catch later. But at the time, I'm seeing a drop pass there. That's a mistake you can't make in the NFC Championship game, and then
you're not feeling so good halfway through
right.
the first
Well,
quarter.
And they keep going. They keep single coverage on Stephon Diggs, just like they did single coverage on Julio Jones most of the game. And then this play, Chris Long, man, how awesome was this? And the whole time I'm thinking, get down.
My favorite here at the end is what guy gets wrecked right here?
Ronald Darby.
Man.
Yeah, Ronald Darby gets wrecked. But Ronald Darby, they had shown it, was just kind of standing there. And then when Patrick Robinson started coming back across the field, you saw oh man, I'm not out of this play. And he takes off to go get back in it, which is pretty awesome. Yeah. But Chris Long, there was an article this week.
Is that McKinnon? Watch how wide open McKinnon was.
Yeah.
There was an Eagle sitting back there. It wasn't a home run
right.
or anything.
But yeah, Chris Long got there, got his arm just on him.
Disrupt the throw.
Yep.
Got to disrupt the throw.
Man.
So we got our first text here of the evening. It's from my dad. He said, "Fly Eagles fly, kick the crap out of New England."
Things I never thought I'd hear out of your dad.
I think there's a lot of people that feel that way. And I'm sure there are people going the other way, too.
Oh, absolutely.
But, yeah, well, Case, it's about to get a lot worse. So,
yeah,
we're going to see the Eagles just start to take off here. And it's a long highlight, so we'll jump around a little bit. We'll get closer
we can just
to the
put it on loop
half.
if we need to.
Well, it's like a 15-minute video. We don't have that much
Good,
time.
I've got all night.
But Nick Foles was outstanding.
Yeah.
He looked great.
Doug Peterson did a great job calling the game. The receivers were making plays.
Defense was flying.
Right.
Fletcher Cox and Chris Long looked incredible.
Yep.
And the secondary got it done.
So it's interesting. They're talking about how the Jags are really good up front, but the Eagles rotate guys through like crazy, which means to me Patriots are going to go no huddle so that they can't rotate guys. That's in my head. That's what I think is going to happen, and we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But yeah, the Eagles got it going.
What a jump! That was a good jump by me. I'm going to pat myself.
This
on the back
was,
for that.
and boom, Torrey Smith with the catch that was pretty much the nail in the coffin. You're up 17. You get the ball to start the second half. Now,
doable.
It was nice that they were up 17 because they got the ball with 30 seconds left in the half, but they had timeouts. So they could have easily just gone into halftime. And like I said, they did the opposite of what the Jags did. They went down and got a field goal out of it. And so instead of being up, 17-7.
No, 21-7.
Yeah, sorry, 21-7. They're up 24-7, which, 3 points is 3 points.
It's another
then
possession.
They get the ball to start the second half.
Score again.
And they score again. So there's
and now you're down 24.
10, right,
with
it's 10
minutes
points
left in the third.
Right, and you just marched it right down the field on the vaunted defense. Defense that was first in the league in scoring, first in the league in
Top
yards.
5 in everything.
Yeah, and you just dissected them. It was awesome.
Well, I mean, at this point, you had to be feeling pretty good. Up 24 halfway through the third.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
We've seen crazy stuff happen,
right,
but I mean,
right. And you know, a little worried, but this coming up is when you're like, this is it. You know, they're going to win this game. This play right here. Well, nope, sorry, not that one. It's coming up though. They got to stop there.
Right, they forced a turnover on downs.
Right. That's when you're like, maybe this is going to happen.
Yeah, it's
Nelson Aguilar, man, and the whole, you know, you're just feeling at this point, you're just like, yeah, this is actually going to happen.
And it being in Philly is so much sweeter to see the home fans.
Oh my gosh!
Because I mean, as soon as the third quarter ends and you're up 24, you know.
Oh yeah.
You know that it's over.
Yeah.
Right? And then they're going to put another 7 on right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. So they go 38-7, and that would be the final.
What a catch by
we'll
Alshon.
jump ahead a little bit in the game, maybe get to the end. We can go even farther here. Yeah, this is a lot to show here. It was cool to see Howie Long with Chris's son, Howie's grandson, them to be supporting.
That
the
was
Eagles.
a great play. Just hustle to the ball.
Yep. Yeah, get it done. Now, I mean.
Bad tackling from the number one defense.
Awful.
Now I know, like at this point in the game, you know you're down 31. You know it's tough to stay motivated. Like you know what's going on here, but at the same time you don't necessarily want to get run over.
No.
But, yeah, and the Eagles they were able to do whatever they wanted after like the first couple. They were able to do whatever they wanted.
All right, so. That was the NFC Championship game. Eagles making it back for the first time in 13 years off to Super Bowl 52 to take on the Patriots. We already kind of did the rundown meeting for the second time in Super Bowl history. What do you expect? Uh-oh.
Oh, gosh. I'm nervous now.
You're nervous?
Yeah.
Let's see what we got here.
Call from Rich Diane Miz. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
All right, so we have a guest here this evening. Let's get to him right away. So this is my Uncle Rich from Massachusetts, by way of Florida, I should add. And I think he's here to talk a little Super Bowl with us.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, just a little bit. Then your dad, I know how he hates the Patriots, but anyway, who knows this is his blogs anyway. and Justin.
Hey, something we can agree on, Rich. Something we can agree on real quick is that Nick Foles has as many playoff wins as the Cowboys do in the last 20 years. So, we're good with that,
true.
right?
That's true.
So we got our first text after Rich's call, and all it is my wife saying "boo" really loudly. capital letters, lots of O's. So this is a nice warm welcome for you, Rich.
Yeah, it is. It is. I appreciate all the love that I get from Pennsylvania this time of the year.
Oh, now Kelly, she threw in a Fly Eagles Fly.
Oh my gosh!
So, we got
look
on board.
what your Patriots are making people do.
I know. Justin, you made a comment about us against the world. How can the Eagles, they should have all the love of every place outside of New England, not just outside of being the underdogs, which they're getting used to, and is really a dangerous situation.
You can't pop this bubble that
New England. It's really New England that's us against the world.
No way,
We're not
no
gonna
way.
Let that happen. We can't,
nope. No, it's
more
definitely the
motivation
Eagles.
for
The
you.
Eagles are the underdogs. I have it on my shirt. That settles it.
I like the shirt. I've seen those. I really like those. Yeah.
It is creative, and I do like that it's going to help fund the Philadelphia School District. And the NFL decided.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
The NFL kind of took the idea from was it Lane Johnson?
It was Lane Johnson. Yeah.
And they were selling shirts, and they were benefiting Philadelphia schools, and then the NFL, because they own the rights to every team and everything, they can do what they want. They created one. And then Lane Johnson, the Eagles fans kind of shamed them, and they decided to hop on board and donate the proceeds to the Philadelphia School District as well.
Oh, good. Very nice. I did not know that. And the other thing is, I think you should really be thanking New England for two reasons. One of them is number 56, and the other one is number, I think, 29. Don't you think that helped you kind of get to where you are today?
Absolutely.
In case you were curious, it's
Chris Long and
Chris Long and LeGarrette Blount, yes.
Absolutely, and that has been a key. Not just they didn't necessarily have like all pro years, but on the Eagles, they had some standout guys that had great years, but it's not those guys alone that got them to the Super Bowl. They had what we kind of talk about all the time this year. They had those quote unquote role players that the Patriots seem to have every single year. They had guys like LeGarrette Blount who, they trade for Ajayi halfway through the year, and everybody's like, oh man, is Blount going to just like pack it up? But he's been a leader on the offense, and Chris Long, just Philly has like adopted him. They love Chris Long, just his attitude that he's brought to the games. And I know they were talking a lot around here this week about how have they tapped into those guys, not necessarily, what can you tell us about the Patriots, but just like, what can you tell us about like going to the Super Bowl? Because I think the Patriots have like 33 guys, I think, who have played in the Super Bowl before on their roster. And the Eagles have 6, I believe, who have played in the Super Bowl before, including, like you mentioned, those 2 from New England last year. So I think Chris Long's biggest piece of advice was be selfish and be selfish with your time. He's like, it's not a regular game. Don't worry about getting, talking to every, former coach, all this stuff. He's like, you can do that later. Focus on the game, So like, I'm hopeful that those little bits of information and leadership will even be bigger this week, but now I'm going to throw it in sandbag mode. I know we're fighting an uphill battle against the better team and the best quarterback ever. So, whatever we get, right?
So Uncle Rich, what are your expectations for this game? And give us a score prediction when you're done.
Oh boy. Well, my expectations is the usual. It's going to be a good game, and it seems like all the Patriots games, they usually win by 3 points. Isn't that the way it usually works out here?
That is the
so
trend,
the Patriots are going to win by – and I expect a really good – I thought your Eagles – I'll just go first. I thought your Eagles defensively looked really good, and that's going to make it difficult. The Patriots do seem to be slow starters, which sometimes worries the New England fans. I don't know. Watching the Jaguars game, I want to say Jaguars look really good on defense. But when he hit the fourth quarter, and especially when we needed that last touchdown, and you're watching Brady take his jacket off, you could see he had the confidence to lead his team down there. I know I'm trying to bring that up, but the team, I think, always has the confidence to come back, especially for, the past couple of really trying games. I think it's going to be close, and we'll just say it's probably going to be let's see, I have pool numbers that say 7-0, so, I said no. But I think it might be like a 27-24. Naturally, New England, I'm sure that's not what everybody wants to hear, but I think that's what it's going to end up.
It may not be what we all want to hear, but I think that's a good – I think that's a very real possibility. I hope it's a good game. I really don't know what to think. I kept telling people – everybody was asking me last week what I thought or what I wanted to happen. And I'm like, obviously I want the Eagles to win. But I said, if the Eagles do win, let me explain myself. I said, I want them to play the Patriots because the Philly fan in me is like, if we play the Jaguars and the Eagles were to win, everybody would be like, oh yeah, well, you beat the Jaguars for the Super Bowl. And if they lose, I'd never hear the end of it that the Eagles lost to the Jaguars in the Super Bowl. So I said, if they're going to win or lose, I want it to be to, the Patriots because, you lose to the Patriots, you're just one of another dozen teams, that lose to the Patriots all the time. Not a big deal. I mean, it is a big deal, but, it's nothing new. And if you beat the Patriots, hey, you beat the Patriots, you earned everything you're going to get if you have to beat the best. So, and I also said to Joey, even if the Eagles are up 35, with 5 minutes left, I'm not going to believe it. I've seen Tom Brady and his voodoo magic. I don't want to test that. And, no matter the situation, if the Eagles have a shot at the end, I'm not going to believe it till it's all zeros and they're hoisting that trophy. So we'll have to wait and see. Absolutely. I don't know if I can convince myself it's going to happen yet.
Actually, I do think it's going to be a good game. But you know that our team's going to be prepared. It always is.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and the second half adjustments, just use the Jaguars. I mean, the second half adjustments they made on that game was, I thought, phenomenal. They just do a good thing.
Yeah, as much as we dislike New England, we give them props for what they're good at. And, we know
it's unbelievable how
Brady
good
and
they
Belichick are the best of the best, and we know that they'll be ready. So Philadelphia's in for the game of their life. We'll be very interested to see what happens a week from now. We'll probably be halfway through the third quarter or so. And, so before we let you go, Rich, one of the things Justin and I always like to do is look at the Vegas stuff, the Westgate Las Vegas, the Superbook here. Not necessarily the standard stuff, although right now, at least according to this that I'm looking at, the Patriots are favored by 4.5. So you're saying in that scenario, because of your final score, you would take the Eagles? You think it would be a 3-point game?
Yeah, I would say so. Also, it dropped. The last time I seen it was 5, so the money is coming in on the. See if it comes down. That means it's coming in on the Eagles, right? It was 5.
Yeah. Generally, it'll go with the money. Yeah. So money is coming in on the Eagles. I think people were surprised, and I think, like you said, you look at the Patriots' wins in Super Bowls. It's like 3-2. Like they win close Super Bowl games. So I think last year might have been the biggest when they scored the touchdown in overtime.
Yeah.
So like I think that has some influence over it too, but. Yeah, so it'll be interesting.
Well, Vegas knows best, so
yeah, they tend to do all right. Yeah.
The over under is 48. What are you feeling on the over under?
Oh, well, my pick was 27-24. I think I said so that would be the over.
Just over, okay. Yep. Now the other thing we really like to do is look at the silly prop bets. Is there anything that you always found interesting to see what people were betting on, like? Coin toss, Gatorade color, length of the national anthem, anything ever make you laugh?
They all kind of make you laugh with some of those. But I have to make one comment back when I used to do football cards a long time ago. We did hit, there was a bunch of us, 10 out of 10 on just those coin tosses and the color of the uniforms and all. So that was... So we had, I won't say what the money was, but we did hit 10 out of 10. So I kind of like those odd things on how long the national anthem and stuff like that, but it's been good. I can't think of any. I haven't seen any of the latest things out there, but I just did pick up a magazine, so I'll have to look through and see what's in there. But,
yeah, there's some pretty standard ones here, but I know sometimes they come up with stuff on the halftime show and all kinds of interesting things. Who will have the first reception? Who will throw the first interception? Will any throw an interception? Will points be scored before the first 6.5 minutes? All kinds of
you can do
stuff.
Is the first Gronkowski catch over or under 13.5 yards? Like, just crazy stuff.
Yeah, will there be a field goal in the first quarter? So a lot of crazy stuff out there. Again, this is all from Westgate in Vegas. I found this on an ESPN article. They were chronicling some of the more ridiculous ones, but they have an entire 32-page PDF that we're looking at right now. So
yeah. I'd say they put
Gronk's first one will be under. Gronk's first catch will be all 13.5 because they want to get him back.
There you go.
Back in the field of the game after the concussion thing, so that's just my opinion.
All right. So, do you have any closing thoughts for us before we let you go?
Well, I do want to let you know that having living down there for so many times, that the Eagles are my second favorite team, Justin. Just so you know that.
So while you're
you're
clearly pulling for the Patriots. But deep down, years removed, you might be okay that the Eagles got one if the Patriots aren't going to be the team that wins it.
It's deep down, you could say. Like I said, I was way back with Tommy McDonald, but you guys don't even know who that was. But anyway.
I'll take it.
Yes,
I'll take it.
I'm looking for a great game. Yeah, I really am.
Yeah. And as in completely impartial and non-biased viewer, I look forward to not having my heart ripped out in any capacity, although it will be torn a little bit if I see a Patriots win again.
Yeah, I know. Most people down there will be. What can I tell you? Well, look at it this way. We're losing half our coaching staff next year. So,
yeah.
I mean, maybe it's a good year next year that, till Belichick gets synced up again, that you guys might all have a chance to, make a move on us.
Yeah. You never know. We'll take it. We'll take it one shot at a time. And, I just hope the Eagles can hold up their end of the bargain and play, honestly, like a lot of people said that Minnesota game was pretty good. As crazy as it sounds, they're going to have to play better. Like, they have to get better. You have to get better each game, because if you don't, the Patriots certainly are. And so, it's going to take their best effort. If they give their best effort, I think they have a shot. Anything less than that, you're in trouble when you play the Patriots. So, and
that's true.
It's been proven,
time and time again.
Jaguars played a pretty good game. They needed a great game. And so, the Eagles hopefully will be prepared to give a great effort. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I hope, I hope Brady doesn't get one for his other hand. That's all. That's all I can say.
Well, Uncle Rich,
right.
we thank you for calling in and getting you back on the show. It's been a while, but I know that you're always emailing or texting. So we want to make sure with this Super Bowl matchup, we got to hear from you. So we hope you have a good and relaxing week leading up to the big game. But we hope come next Sunday night that it is Justin celebrating and not you.
Yeah, and I hope you have to wonder. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping you have to wonder if your Patriots glass is broken because it's not lighting up very often. That's what I'm hoping you have to worry about. So.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I don't know if that will actually be the case, but I can dream. At least I'm going to dream the next few days, and then I'm going to start convincing myself that this is Philadelphia and we don't win Super Bowls. That's how this is going to work.
All right. Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure always talking to you guys. So, back to your show, and thank you very much. And I hope for a good game next week, just like you do.
Thanks, Rich.
All right. Thanks, Uncle Rich, and we'll talk to you later.
Okay. All righty. Yeah. Bye-bye.
All right. So that was our number one listener, especially from the New England area and now in the Florida area. And he is...
Right,
yeah.
Which we bring up when we're like, no, you don't get to complain about cold weather New England games because you go to Florida where it's, well, actually, it has been cold at times in Florida this year too. But
not real cold, though.
Yeah, it's different. It's all relative. Like, cold there means like, oh, man, like, I might need to wear long sleeves right now. Like,
so my dad said it didn't help Jacksonville went conservative in the second half.
Right.
It also didn't help that they didn't hit on a couple of their plays. But, yeah. I mean, it is what it is. He also, he's talking about prop bets here. He wants to know what the over-under is that New England cheats to win the game.
I think that can't even be on the books because it's definitely going to happen.
Because it's a guarantee.
And even if there's no proof, if the Eagles lose, I'm definitely saying that's what happened.
Sure
right.
We lead off with the show in 2 weeks, right?
It's clearly, if the Eagles don't win, it was all rigged. And I know you were railing against that, but it's absolutely true.
Oh, yes. Good times, good times. So thanks to my Uncle Rich for calling in and always listening and interacting with us. And for my dad and my wife also tonight chipping in texts. I can't relay Kelly's latest text.
Yeah, I think I saw it over your shoulder. So I was thinking about before, like, as I was driving over here, I was like, man, like, I'd be shocked if there isn't an email, at least from Rich, like some communication this week. And then, we got talking, and I just wasn't thinking about it, and then he was calling, and I was like, but I was thinking, should I offer the friendly wager? And then I'm like, only an idiot would do that. Like, I took advice from Michael Scott, and don't be an idiot. Like, and I was like, only idiots do that thing, and I'm like, I don't want to wear a Patriots shirt or a hat or any of that stuff.
No, you don't
and I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I'm like, I'm not even going to bring it up because I can't subject myself to that. So I took it into one of those things. Like, and I talk about this all the time as a fan, and I feel like I'm pretty good at this. Like, I only give as much like razzing as like not just a Philly fan, but just like in general, like as a fan, as I'm willing to take. You know, and like when I'm not willing to take it, I usually don't dish it out because like that's just how I feel. And like that's how I feel when I go to other stadiums. Like I've been to away games in hostile environments in college football, in like NHL games, not so much NFL games. I've been to like home games for those, but like I've been in somewhere like I kept my mouth shut because I wasn't prepared to get beat up over something. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
But, yeah, this is one of those situations where I'm like, you know what, as much fun as it could be if I won, I don't know that I'll be able to handle it real well if they lose. So, because I'm just going to ignore it and try and block it out of my mind, and I don't want to have to like come on the internet where it'll last forever in like a Patriots shirt or something like that. Like I can't. I'm not willing to do that. So
can't be deleted.
yeah.
It'll
So
be there forever.
sorry, Rich. Yeah.
No,
you know.
no bet, no wager.
Right. Well, especially like anyone, let alone the Patriots. Like, what kind of idiot bets against the Patriots? I'm certainly not going to do it. Right. I'm not going to bet against them. Like, you know, that's like betting against like the sun coming up tomorrow. Like, you know, like it's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not ideal. I have been part of a bet with Uncle Rich.
Oh yeah,
it
yeah.
Was, I forget. I don't know why, because it wasn't. The Bruins won the Stanley Cup. It was the year that, not the year that Philly came from 3-0 down, because I should have had a bet then.
Yeah, that would have been the one. You should have gone big when they were down 3-0.
Oh yeah, I should have been like, you know what, this is gonna happen.
Get a Flyers tattoo.
So, but yeah, so that I think ends our Super Bowl talk. Real quickly here, we want to switch over and kind of transition into our other show, the Bulldog Hour. If you're aware of the local high school football team that Justin and I cover in the fall, a couple of big announcements this week that we wanted to touch on. The first one that came up, I'm not sure. I mean, it's probably bigger for more people, although the second news is definitely huge for Wilson.
Yes.
But the first news came about, I believe it was a late Wednesday night or late Tuesday night?
I feel like it was Tuesday.
Yeah, I think you're right. Late Tuesday night.
No, it was Tuesday.
Late Tuesday night, we were notified on Twitter that there was going to be a story about the potential for the Lancaster-Lebanon League, which Wilson is a member of, and the Berks Football League, or formerly the Inter-County League, the Berks IC, merging, becoming a big super conference in District 3 football. They would go from 13 teams in Berks and 24 in LL to 37 teams, most likely 4 sections, although there's a possibility for it to be 5. And this was huge. This
would be insane.
This would be a huge
deal. I don't mean like insane bad. I just mean
no. It came out of nowhere.
It's crazy
To the general public. Apparently, this has actually been talked about since November, and only kind of started to gain traction now as proposals were passed back and forth.
Yeah, I wanted to be like, when I saw that from Paul Roberts on Twitter, I wanted to be like, Paul, like, because he said somebody brought it up at one of the games they were working, and I wanted to be like, Paul, you couldn't have like thrown out a teaser on Twitter or anything? Like, come on. Now, I know how that works. You do that, then you're never told anything ever again. But, so the idea's been out there, but it would be huge.
It was found by Jeff Reinert of Lancaster Online, a Lancaster newspaper group out there.
Great high school football follow.
Excellent.
Oh, my gosh.
Excellent. If you're in the Central PA, Southeastern PA area, and you're interested in the LL football, Wilson stuff, Jeff Reinert is the guy to cover from there. And obviously the local guy, the Berks guy, is Mike Drago from the Reading Eagle. And we're looking at here, if you're watching, we're looking at Drago's second article on the subject. This would have been on Thursday. He talks about why these leagues are coming together and talking about this. It actually was the Berks League that approached the Lancaster-Lebanon League about it. And it was mostly to do with scheduling and evening the playing field. Because since Berks only has 13 teams in 2 sections, there's a couple teams that maybe probably should be in Section 1, but because of enrollment and size of the teams and schools, it doesn't quite work out. So they're limited there. It also causes some schools to have to schedule as many as, I think, 5 non-league games.
Right, like including Wyomissing, I think is what this article's saying. And Wyomissing is a district, contender every year. And for them to have to try and schedule 5 non-league games, that's really tough.
They've had to take a team from New York. They've had to play a 6A team close to the State College area.
Who they beat, by the way.
Right, they did. Going up 3 whole sections. So it's just been difficult. And the LL has 24 teams, or will have 24 teams, because
But has had an issue with, for lack of a better term, like competitive balance.
Right.
Trying to get enough teams a schedule where they can be competitive has been an increasing challenge in the LL league.
Right.
Well, and honestly in the Berks league.
Yes.
So
So they think combining forces could create some diversity in talented programs, allow some of the smaller programs or ones that are going through some growing pains a more level playing field, and make scheduling easier. I think that's the crux of the merger, kind of the force behind it. The one that's on the top of the school districts and athletic department list is the biggest negative is probably the increased travel for all schools except for Wilson, because since Wilson is a Berks team playing in the LL, Wilson will actually travel less because of who they could end up playing.
Except if you look at it from the aspect of why Missing just had to travel to Mifflin County, to fill their schedule 2 hours away. Like, if they continue to have scheduling problems, at least in the Berks thing, and this is where it comes in, it becomes a bit more difficult, but honestly, the trip from Lancaster County, especially for like Eastern Lancaster County teams, like, it's not that bad,
Right.
Like, I don't know. I say that just because you and I drive it 5 or 6 Fridays every fall.
Yeah.
So, I think it's something that's easy for us because we're like, yeah, it's not that bad.
Right.
Well, sometimes it is, and we leave really early, but that's traffic. That's not the distance.
Yeah.
Teams are traveling we travel to Harrisburg, to play mid-Penn teams. Teams are traveling to York.
Which we'll do in week one
Right.
this
They're
coming year.
traveling to York to play those teams. So, like, if you're going to end up having to fill with non-league schedules that they have faraway teams,
Right.
but I get it. Yeah, travel is an expense, and therefore it is a
The
concern.
administration, the school district, and the at-large community that probably isn't all in on athletics, they're the ones that are going to bring it up.
Absolutely.
And the administration and the school district should absolutely consider it. But from a football-centric standpoint, a Wilson, focus here, I love it.
Right.
I absolutely would relish
and
this
something to
opportunity
keep in
see
mind
this
is
happen.
not comparing it to zero cost. Like, compare it to who would you play in that place. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you look at why Missing's costs last year to travel, well, you throw in that 6A game up in Mifflin County.
Yeah.
Like,
That was
that's
a 2-hour plus drive.
right. So, like, it's not as simple as, like, oh, well, look at all the money they spend to go play, I don't know, just trying to, Northern Lebanon.
Yeah.
It's a decent drive.
Yeah.
But
I think the biggest ones
Probably
are
take them an hour
the Northern Berks teams to get all the way over to Western.
to play, like, Solanco
Yeah,
and,
Western
like, Columbia.
or Southern,
right.
Western Southern Lancaster
Right.
or the Western Lebanon area,
Right.
things like that. So,
Yeah, the ones that are right on, like,
The
the
border.
222 Route 30
oh, yeah,
corridor
that's not,
aren't bad.
No.
But, yeah, to get, like, Hamburg to play, someone, Solanco,
right.
that's a bit of a drive.
So let's take a look at some of the main one that we care about is what would be the new Section 1 if this merger would happen. Now, and I should put it out there, this can't happen until 2020. The next 2-year cycle is already done, so the 2018 and 2019 seasons are still Berks League, still LL, no changes there. So in the fall of 2020, should this merger happen, we would see a 10-team Section 1, meaning 9 league games and 1 non-league game. Wilson would be in the biggest classification with Section 1 would be the largest high school in the state, Reading. Then close to the second largest high school in the state would be Lancaster McCaskey, J.P. McCaskey, followed by Hempfield. And then there's Wilson, so 4th largest in this proposed 37-team super conference. Right behind them, Manheim Township. And then the final 5 teams would be Penn Manor, Cedar Crest, Warwick, Exeter, and Governor Mifflin. So 4 Berks teams,
Right.
6 LL teams.
Right. And think about that from a Wilson standpoint, like you said. Essentially what you're saying is that there'd still be one quote-unquote non-league game. I don't know, because LL is adopting these crossovers. Right.
Could you imagine having that schedule
And then you
playing
play Manheim Central. Right. Or Berks Catholic. Wow. Crazy. But, like, think about that. Their schedule could possibly be Manheim Central, Berks Catholic as the mandated crossover. This is us kind of adopting our role as LL or BLL, right? Right. Like commissioners here. But then they would play Reading High, McCaskey, Hempfield, Manheim Township, Penn Manor, Cedar Crest, Warwick, Exeter, and Governor Mifflin. Like, all the games that that don't happen every year, and in Berks County, like, oh, everybody wants their shot at Wilson. Not everyone. The big schools want their shot at Wilson. that could happen if this takes place.
Yeah.
On the other hand, now, and this is where it gets crazy, like, I don't know if I'm some of those other schools that I want to be playing Governor Mifflin, and, Governor Mifflin's good.
Yeah.
Like,
Governor Mifflin housed Manheim Township this year. Township won District 3 in 6A.
Right. Oh, and held Pine Richland, who had a Division I quarterback on Notre Dame, to season low in yards, season low in points.
Yeah. So it forces Reading to play Wilson, which Reading is the one who stopped that contract. It would allow us to play Mifflin in Week 10 again, as should be. I know it's become a big deal Labor Day over the last decade plus, but I grew up with it being Week 10 or Week 11. It's crazy doing this research that I've noticed that there used to be 11 regular season games.
Yeah.
In the early 90s.
Yeah.
And before then, but I'm getting back into the early 90s where I'm starting to see 11 regular season games, and Mifflin was always the last week of the season. But we get to play Exeter, who haven't played in over a decade. Obviously, the LL teams we've all are familiar with. Cedar Crest is moving back up to LL1 this year, so this 2-year cycle already, we're going to see Cedar Crest again, and all the other teams we play. So I think it would be nothing but a win for Wilson. Like, I can't see any negatives.
I think it would be awesome for Wilson. And honestly, as I look kind of across the board for Burke's teams, I know Governor Mifflin, you look, their schedule I feel would be a lot tougher here.
Oh my God!
But in that super competitive 5A field, they'd be playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 6A schools. That's awesome for them.
They go 9-1. They go 8-2. They could still be the 1, I think.
Right. Yeah.
Because
like
their
strength of schedule would be incredibly high all of a sudden. Just in terms of the playing up all those classifications. Yeah. And maybe I don't know, but maybe they schedule Lebanon as their crossover, throw them a bone, and then they get
their crossover would probably be Muhlenberg.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
That would be my guess. If that came to be. So
yeah. Or Burke's Catholic for them if Wilson is Manheim Central.
Section 2 is 8 LL teams and then 2 Burke's teams, Muhlenberg and Burke's Catholic. Section 3 is 8 teams, and it's Daniel Boone, Twin Valley, Fleetwood, Y Missing from Burke's.
That Y Missing Lancaster Catholic matchup would be interesting.
See, I honestly am at the point where
with new coach at Lancaster Catholic.
Yeah,
Todd Mealy.
Yep. Honestly, I would love to see Y Missing get into Section 2 and then drop someone else to Section 3. Someone like Solanco.
Yeah.
I would love to see Y Missing up in Section 2, still playing Muhlenberg, or getting to play Muhlenberg, getting to play Burke's Catholic, but mostly to get to see Y Missing play Manheim Central and Cocalico.
Honestly, and I know it wouldn't happen, but if you drop Lebanon to the Section 3, I know. But here's the thing, especially next year, that quarterback, Salesman's
going to wreak havoc on LL Section 3.
Yeah, he's in Section 3 next year at LL. He might, I'm just trying to think of yards, he might put up 3,000 total yards next year. Yeah. Honestly, the kid, hard to bring down.
He's a good one for sure. So that is potential Burke's LL merger.
Yeah.
Which is,
by the way, notice smallest enrollment there, Columbia.
Yeah. Well, there's only 2 2A teams. Pequot Valley's not much bigger than them.
No.
So, so the last thing we wanted to talk about here in high school football, Wilson obviously is in District 3. They're in the 6A classification, the biggest in the state of Pennsylvania.
Now, this is less of a Hail Mary.
Yeah, this is
because it
almost guaranteed.
Right, because it passed the first round of votes, which I was stunned that nothing, I hadn't heard of this until you sent it to me the other day.
Right. All right, let's see.
Because it seemed like forever, and on a lot of things, PIAA is not what we would say quick and efficient at decision making, right? However, the last couple years, they have made some decisions and implemented them extremely fast, quite possibly too fast. We've heard that with the scheduling of the quote-unquote week 0. They didn't really give teams time to iron out their
now
schedules.
Now everyone has
But-
week 1, which was week 0.
Right.
Like
So
Wilson will have 2 games in August this year. 2 games.
Yeah.
Only one scrimmage now. So yeah, things have changed. If you watch the Bulldog Hour, we went over all this at our season-ending show about 6 weeks ago. But the news that came out like a day and a half after we learned of the possible Berks LL merger was that the PIAA Board of Directors decided to switch up the state playoffs. It's still the same format. It's just who is playing
and it's
where
different by classification.
Right, it is. But
so we really focus in on
only
6A here.
Well, it actually does carry down into 5A. So the ones that we care about, 6A,
That's really
5A,
big, yeah.
is the big sections where we
because
can
in
see
the others it was
play.
already this way, I think.
I think you're right.
No, it's not this way, but the result, the ends are pretty similar.
So the reason it's not the same is because there's different size schools in different areas of the state. Some areas of the state might have a lot of small schools. Some areas of the state might have had a lot of big schools. And obviously it probably depends on the suburbia and the city effect and then the rural effect. And in 6A and 5A, the eastern half of the state has a lot of big schools. Not so much in the western
And it's
half.
not close.
It's not even close.
It's not close. I'll let you go and then.
Well, just to make up for that, schools that are in the eastern half of Pennsylvania were being forced to play in the western half to make it an even.
Right. Essentially, they just
field.
moved that halfway line based on distribution of schools, and so the halfway line was basically Eastern Berks County instead of, State College or Harrisburg, Susquehanna River, coming down like something like that. Yeah.
And that had been the case, I believe, since the 2004 season. So I think 2003 was the last time that Wilson was considered in the East. So actually, Chad Henney's last season at Wilson was the last year that Wilson and the rest of District 3 in the highest classification at the time, 4A, competed in the eastern region of the state playoffs. So if Wilson or a District 3 team makes it to the state Final Four, the eastern final is where they would have played. Well, from 2004 through 2017, District 3 got shifted to the west, meaning Wilson would, and other District 3 programs had to, more likely than not, play the District 7 or the WPIAL champion, and those Pittsburgh schools are a class above most other programs in the state.
So just for clarification, there are only 9 District 7 6A schools.
For the next 2-year cycle.
Right. However,
it would drop from like 13.
A handful of them are among the best programs in the state and arguably region.
It's
like
Pittsburgh Central Catholic, North Allegheny,
Pine Richland,
Mountain Lebanon.
Yeah, like just on Woodland Hills.
Well, they're 5A.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, but you look at the WPIAL, like incredible
Bethel
football.
Park 5A, Upper St. Clair 5A.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, incredible football out there though. Like really strong programs, but not a lot of their big schools are huge. But then there's a drop off, and there's a lot of smaller schools.
And they have some great schools in the small brackets in Clairton and West Allegheny,
Thomas Jefferson,
Gateway,
some of those,
Jeanette.
Yeah,
that's where Terrell Pryor went.
Yeah.
So, so because of the discrepancy in the school sizes, they had to make some decisions. So District 3 got shuffled off to the west, and we saw that, up close and personal in 2008, 2012, 2014, and 2016. Wilson was forced to play 4 different WPIAL champions and lost to all 4 of them.
Shouldn't have mattered in 2008.
2008 was a triple overtime loss to Bethel Park. 2012 was to North Allegheny. 2014 was to Pine Richland, where Wilson had 2008 was their best chance because it went into triple overtime, and a lot of people say that game shouldn't have ended the way it did. But in 2014, Wilson led Pine Richland, who won the state championship this year, in the fourth quarter and just couldn't hold on. And then in 2016, Wilson had to take on Pittsburgh Central Catholic, who I believe had, across their entire roster, from seniors and juniors, I think it was like 14 Division I college athletes.
Yeah, a bit loaded, yes.
Yeah. Now, on the flip side, out in the East for the last number of years, when the Philadelphia schools were admitted and eventually the private Philadelphia schools were admitted, you got the 2 juggernauts in LaSalle College High School and St. Joe's Prep, who just last year, just on the senior graduating class, I think had 11 or 12 Division I college athletes
including
on their team.
And have to fly to some of their games.
Yeah, they play all over the place. They're the teams you see on like ESPN.
Right, playing like the Florida champs and
Florida,
stuff
California,
like that. Right, yeah.
And so it was a tough go of it. Usually you would see over the last 5, 6, 7 years would be District 7 Whippeal versus District 12 Philadelphia.
Yeah.
And that's the way it went. And so they decided to change it up at the PIAA Board of Directors meeting, and they moved District 3, Wilson, back to the east, and they shuffled off District 11, Allentown, and District 12, Philadelphia,
oh, hey,
to
Parkland.
the west.
Yeah.
Hey, Parkland, Easton, Liberty, at other levels, Bethlehem Catholic, Becca High. They now have to go through the Whippeal. Yeah. So does St. Joe's Prep, LaSalle College High School, and the Philadelphia District 12 teams.
They effectively have made the quote-unquote East District 3 and District 1, which is suburban Philly. That's it.
That's
Coatesville, to be clear, those two districts have more 6A schools than all the others combined.
Right. So you can see, if you're watching, you can see I have the 6A bracket for 2018. On the left, you have the West. Total number of teams is 51. On the right,
that's two districts.
That's two districts. District 3, that's Wilson, and District 1, that's suburban Philly. Like
District 1, that has 33 schools.
Right, they have 33 schools alone. So it was 18 in District 3, which is a nice size, with 33. So that's both Downingtowns.
That's why they still do the 16-team playoff.
Right, so they have a shorter regular season to get more teams into the playoffs. Now, District 3 is still going to keep 8. Even though you see 16 here, District 3 is going to keep 8, because why would you take 16 out of 18?
You can't take 16 out of 18. That's a bad idea.
16 out of 33 I get.
Yeah.
But the other side of the bracket, all other districts, so there's 12 in Pennsylvania. Yeah. So 2 districts have 51, 10 districts have 43, and there's actually 2 that have no 6A schools.
Right, which is why I think it was, it's weird in some others. Yeah, but like, there's some that really struggle to have others too, because I think it might have been State College this year. State College had 2 weeks off, like before they played like the Whippeal champ, because like, or maybe it was McDowell or somebody crazy. Like there was a weird scheduling thing, but they just don't. Their first matchups like are against districts that don't have any teams to play them. So so
that
changes things for District 3 and therefore potentially Wilson or this year Manheim Township or those other schools.
If I didn't explicitly state it, that goes into effect this year. That's not. This isn't a 2-year waiting period like.
This is like the week 0 thing. This is we're doing it again. Now I think they have to confirm it the next 2 meetings yet. Yeah, but it passed at the first one.
It passed the first one. It's kind of like a soft pass. They'll rework it. They'll take on any arguments or whatnot. They'll come back through it 2 more times.
See, and this is where it's one of those things where the biggest, like District 7 may not like this, because now they're going to have to play St. Joe. Like they're going to have to play St. Joe's Prep.
Say we need to get out of PIAA playoffs,
which is what they did. What they weren't part of it for a long time, and then, but they. It's one of those things where, so that there's that, but there's only 9 6A schools there, so it's kind of tough. And I don't know that the PIAA is going to concede to them. They may just say, okay, fine, take your 9
teams.
Be Pittsburgh champions. Yeah. I don't know that the schools would want that, while they don't want necessarily this. I think the teams you're going to hear from are like Parkland and stuff. Like
Philly and Allentown.
Well, think about Easton. Easton literally borders New Jersey.
Yeah,
like the school district borders New Jersey.
Well, are you going to make them go to Altoona? See, we can't get into this because we can go on about this forever.
Right. So they border New Jersey, and in the state semifinal, they could be playing.
They can't have it in Altoona. Maybe State College.
Yeah.
Altoona is that's just like an extra 40 minutes that you can't make Easton drive.
Right.
Drive to. So it'll be interesting when this all comes about next fall and late fall in November and December when this is all happening. The state state championship games are December 1st next year, so it's up to 2 weeks earlier than they were just a few years ago.
Yeah.
We're starting a week earlier. They eliminated a week, and December 1st will be the end of the high school football season. Some drastic
which is more
changes.
In line with most states. A lot of states end early.
Yeah, I mean you're getting flack from winter sports because they want to start around Thanksgiving or earlier,
right?
And they can't do that because of football.
Well, you've seen it a lot. I just know in terms of Berks basketball scheduling, Berks Catholic only schedules games if they have to those first few because they know they're going to be without people. Wilson, I don't know that they do a tip-off tournament, entry now, because there's a good chance they're going to be, like
Down
teams
a bunch of
aren't,
guys.
they know that more often than not, we're not going to have people after 10 weeks of football.
Yeah.
It might be 11 or 12, but we're probably not going to have them after 10 weeks of football.
So that's a little Bulldog Hour flavor for you. Some Wilson football highlights, District 3 and PA State football information. We'll be back with more throughout the spring, and once the summer gets here, we'll get rolling on that for sure. But before we go, I do want to take a moment to mention a special happy birthday. Yeah. Not often do we get to see someone hitting the century mark, but it is, it's not actually a person. So today is...
Because that would be crazy.
That would be crazy. Yeah. Today is the legitimate 150th birthday of the Reading Eagle.
Yeah.
On this day in 1868, the first time the Reading Eagle was published. And, to celebrate, I actually threw something together on BulldogHour.com. Just grabbed some of the headlines and articles over the years from the Reading Eagle sports staff, a lot from Mike Drago, and just congratulated them on reaching such a huge milestone. Yeah,
it's pretty awesome. And, we talked about it earlier with some of the articles that we were mentioning, but, Mike Drago and, the local sports guys, they do an awesome job covering Wilson. We talk a lot, you and I, about, the things that we see there. It's kind of fun to sometimes the things we hear or whatever, when we hear it a day or two before it gets in the paper, that's always kind of fun. But, they do a great job reporting on local high school sports. And we mentioned Jeff Reiner earlier, different newspaper, but, it definitely ramps up and takes high school sports to a different level when you have good coverage about it, and you can follow it. And, without the Reading Eagle and those guys, that would make it a lot more difficult to follow. So we appreciate what they do for local kids, that's a lot of fun.
Yep. And the writers are great. We see a lot from Drago, but there's others that have contributed as well over the years. And the photographers are excellent as well.
Yeah,
we know
like our boy Jeremy Dry. Yeah,
always doing a great job. And there's a bunch of others. And like Justin mentioned, it's not just Reading Eagle. We're focusing on that because it's the 150th birthday. But Lancaster newspaper outlets are also very strong. Jeff Reinert and their writers, journalists, and photographers, they do an excellent job covering Wilson, Berks, and Lancaster Lebanon League football. So if you're missing that flavor, definitely check them out on the web and on Twitter and get your Wilson football fix that way. So I do want to say one last time a belated 5th birthday to my daughter Natalie. Yeah. She celebrated this past Monday. We did our 16th Nat Chats with Dad podcast, which is a lot of fun. You should check that out at natchats.net. Episode 253, which will be in 2 weeks, and it actually will be on our 7th birthday. Not quite as prestigious as the 150th of the Reading Eagle, but who would have thought that 7 years ago we would be past 250 shows?
That's kind of crazy. So, and I'll tell you what, if we're celebrating an Eagles victory, it will be a anniversary to never forget. I'll tell you that much.
For sure, yeah.
I probably still won't have my voice, and I'll still be crying.
So obviously we won't be here next Sunday because
otherwise we're talking baseball. I don't know what we're gonna do.
Well, we can go toe to toe with most Super Bowls. I think the viewership pretty even, but when the Eagles are in it, we got to bow out. We got to let them have their stage.
Give the people what they want.
2 weeks. I think it's February 11th, our 7th birthday, and we'll recap the Super Bowl. I'll probably see if we can reach out and get listener special, get some questions.
Yeah, that'll be cool.
Because we're actually going to take a month off then because it is a marathon for us from the end of July through the Super Bowl. So we're going to take a little bit of a break here.
Hiatus.
And come
Winter
back.
hiatus.
We'll probably come back and do some entertainment stuff like last year we did the movies. I think we'll maybe do TV shows or something like that. And
we could do why The Last Jedi is the greatest Star Wars movie.
And then,
I'm so glad I didn't get punched. Oh, my gosh.
And then we'll have the NFL draft. Then it'll be May, and we'll be talking about football again. So it'll be interesting. But, so for more of us, visit jmnjrradio.com. Follow us on Twitter. Do you have any shout-outs, anything to mention?
No.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us. That wraps up the 252nd episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
We hope you tune in every Sunday for our take on sports. Until next time, I'm J-Raff.
Are you? And I'm Joe Mays. Thanks for listening.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
That's right. Go Eagles.